Hello, welcome to a tier list video. So as you can see here, we got 600 plus cards, all from MonTac TCG. So for you guys that are not in this MonTac community, I made a tier list like a year ago that had every single MonTac card in it. I was trying to evaluate how strong each card is, relatively speaking, and it went relatively well. I'll show you the full tier list here. Probably can't even make out what's on it, but I thought it might be a good idea to redo it this year since the game has had quite a few changes. For one, the resource system completely changed. Elders were merged with synergies, as well as Apex synergies were merged with normal synergies. So everything's now one card type. On top of that, we had a lot of erratas, and also like a meta has completely shifted. So there's a lot that probably can have changed. On top of that, we also had like a whole new set release and a bunch of new cards that were added on top of everything. So I think it makes sense to redo this. So instead of doing it all through Discord like I did before, where I would just release a post every day with 20 new cards on the tier list, that format didn't prove super successful for engagement. I don't know how effective this will be, but I feel that doing more cards in one video while also explaining my thought process on why I'm putting everything everywhere would probably be a decent idea. And hopefully, if you guys disagree on anything, feel free to comment. I'll read your comments and I'll see if I agree with you. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to, if someone says move something to F tier or whatever, I'm not going to necessarily do that, but I'm open to hearing your guys' reasoning. Because I'm not even the most active right now when it comes to the game's meta, so I'm very open. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. The way I'm going to do this format, every single episode we're going to do 50 cards or so around, and we're going to cover 3 archetypes, since that lends itself to exactly 12 episodes, and there's 600 plus cards, so that works out pretty much. And then we're going to do generics for the rest, and we'll see how that fills in our tier list. I've already kind of formulated my thoughts on most of these. Just so you know, I'm going to try to keep everything really brief about every card, because if I were to go in depth on every single card, it would take way too long. So we're going to start off with the Angel archetype, since that's the first alphabetically and also like the most iconic one, and I think it makes sense. So the first card we got in this archetype is Kid Angel Zachariah, and I'm putting Kid Angel Zachariah in A tier. Now the reason why Kid Angel Zachariah is an A tier card for me is mostly because it's a really good consistency tool. It's a turn 1 body. It can get you pretty good board presence turn 1, and it also brings out Forgotten Angel, which is a really good consistency tool that we'll talk about a bit later. Alright, the next card after that is Alfred, Gentleman Angel Alfred. So I'm putting Gentleman Angel Alfred as well into A tier. This card has some very specific combinations it can do with other angel cards like Beowulf and the Upstart Angel Alfred, where counting as 2 cards can make it more valuable than any other angel card. So it just is a really nice way to boost those kinds of cards. There's not very much to him, he's just there. After that we have Medicine Angel Elizabeth. She is in B tier for me. So Medicine Angel Elizabeth doesn't really do anything specifically for angels, but the reason why I put her in B tier is just because health points are a pretty good niche to have. They're not like the best thing ever. She's not the best health gainer. She's really easy to stop. However, she gives you 3 health points a turn, which is pretty great. And she's not terrible. Like, having 3 health points a turn is pretty nice. And then after that we got Hotshot Angel Ryan, which I'm putting in B tier. So Hotshot Angel Ryan, he's interesting. He's used to have a different effect. His new effect is not the best, mostly because Angel Paravian probably fulfills his role a lot better. But Hotshot Angel Ryan is able to boost card's power every time that a card is sent to the asset pile, and that works decently well, I would assume. I haven't used him before, but if I were to guess, he'd probably be alright. I could see him going down, but I don't think Angels have a hard time proccing him. I think it's just that they have better ways to get value other than running a monster like Ryan. After Ryan, let's see, who do we got next? We got Gladiator Angel Beowulf. So, Beowulf, I'm also putting in A tier. So, the reason why Beowulf is an A tier, he's a really good card in a variety of ways. Let me find him for you real quick. Okay, so the main thing about him is that he's just a really good setup card. He can put all your cards into the asset pile really, really fast. Putting 3 or 4 or 5 even cards into your asset pile really, really is like the main. He's like he can put the most cards out of any angel card into the asset pile at a time, and of course that's what gets the angels going. That's what gives them their fuel going, basically. But on top of that, he also gets power off of it, which makes him a pretty beefy monster to use. So yeah, I mean, he's not anything too crazy, but he's able to really thin your deck at the same time as preparing your plays for later. After that, we have Forgotten Angel Zachariah. So, Forgotten Angel Zachariah, I'm putting in B tier, and the reason why he's in B tier, he used to be like an S tier or an A tier card. He was really good, but he's gotten really nerfed from where he was before. So, what he used to be able to do is he used to bring out a synergy monster regardless of condition. But because of the recent changes, and because Tom has also been wanting to move away from being able to cheat out synergies, or revive them like generically, he made this guy a lot worse, so that you can't cheat out synergies with him anymore at all, and you can't even cheat out non-angel cards anymore. So he is purely an angel consistency tool, and that's not terrible. He's able to send anything to the asset pile, but he can only play angel non-asset cards from the asset pile now. So he's not the best, especially when you have other consistency tools and angels besides Zachariah. However, he is a body, which is nice. It's a decent turn 1 play to do with Kid Angel. But I put him in B tier because he's a class 6, which means he's kind of bricky if you draw him and don't have a consistency tool. He's not bad. I don't think he's a bad card, but he's not great. Next card we have is Angel Feather. I'm not sure where to put Angel Feather yet. I'm debating C tier or B tier. I'm going to do C tier for now. Now, the reason that I'm putting Angel Feather so low is just because it doesn't do a whole lot. When you consider this card's first effect, it's never useful. Usually you don't want to be playing cards from your asset pile like this. Like, you don't want to be playing angels out of your asset pile. You want to use them in your asset pile so you can send them with your Beowulf or keep them there for your Alfred your upstart Angel Alfred. But Angel Feather's second effect is more useful, but still not that great. And my reasoning for saying that is just situations where you would want to use this, there are almost always better options than Angel Feather. Playing any synergy monster will often be able to help you almost just as much. Maybe not as safe as Angel Feather, but it's just, you get some board presence compared to Angel Feather. The other reason is just Angel Feather, playing this doesn't get you any sort of advantage. Like, if you play a Savage Jewel Shield, for example, you get to keep a card on the board. But the only time you're really playing an Angel Feather is if you're already in a losing position. And there are just better ways to deal with that. I don't think it's a terrible card. I could see it going up to B because, hey, protecting yourself from death, pretty good. But usually, I have never seen this card really seen play except for in really janky decks. So I'm not sure if I would put it at B. I'm up to your guys' suggestions for that. Alright, moving on to the next card. We got, one second. This card is not actually listed under Angels, so let me find this. So, Azrael. We got Divine Sword Azrael. Divine Sword Azrael. This is our first S tier card. So why am I putting Divine Sword Azrael in S tier? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. This card can win you a conflict really easily. It's very hard to counter. I mean, it's not hard to counter, but it requires a very specific kind of counter, which is regen. You can respond with other kinds of conflict responses, like power gainers. That works too, but it's not always consistent because it depends on the monster you're attacking. Divine Sword Azrael can make like a 100 power monster like Kid Angel, which I think has 200 power, can like win a conflict if you want. It's a really demanding card because you can just nuke it at any point. You don't even need to have it in your hand. It's really easy to set up. On top of that, it can free play monsters from your deck. Yes, your opponent can do that too, but it's not too hard to just use this when your opponent has a full board and they can't do it. And then on top of that, this is generic to divine types. So if you want, you can like invasive species, and then you can just have Divine Sword online whenever. Yeah, this is just a really good card. You get two of them per game if you want. And it's really easy to set up with something like a Troy. And then there you go. You got 2 Azraels in your asset pile, and you just get 2 conflict responses for free. And your opponent can't discard them from you. They can't really do anything against them, except for hope they have the right responses, which you can just run a hammer down for, you know? After that, we got Divine Shield Gabriel. I'm going to put Divine Shield Gabriel in B tier for now, I think. Let's see. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to close Firefox. Oh, no. Sorry. I changed it to A tier since I last checked. Yes. Okay. So my reasoning for putting Gabriel in A tier for now is kind of similar to what I said about Angel Feather, but the opposite. Basically, this just gives you a lot of advantage. If you play it, you just stop the turn immediately, for one. And secondly, it also can regen your cards. So if your opponent tries to special tier move like Beowulf or something, you can play Gabriel. That'll bring back its power and will also let you just immediately respond next turn, counterattack them. The main thing about it that doesn't put in S tier is just because, unlike Azrael, it doesn't give you any active advantage in the sense that, like it stops the conflict, but it doesn't remove the monster that's attacking you. So all it does is stall, and that can be good because you can attack it next turn just fine. But you don't know if your opponent has a Savage Jewel or something, So Gabriel is good. It's not as good as Azrael, and I can see people usually running one copy of this, or maybe not even running it at all and being fine. But it's a good card. I don't see a reason why I would call it bad. Alright, after Gabriel, we have Divine Castle. I'm going to put Divine Castle into A tier as well. So this is another very similar situation to Gabriel. I would probably consider running this over Gabriel in most cases for a few reasons. So the first reason is it's a pretty easy card to play. You don't break into this. If you draw into this, you're not concerned because you can just play it. Obviously, it's a class 2. You can't play it turn 1, but it doesn't make a difference. Second reason is it's a constant that gives you passive value, as in it gives you draws when you play a divine type. That's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. And then the third reason is, of course, that unlike Gabriel, this protects your cards from removal. And while Gabriel does protect you from conflicts, and it immediately stops the turn, that's pretty good. Divine Castle protects you from anything. So this is just a really good way to protect your angels, or any divine type monster for that reason. And it has no way to built-in remove it like most constants do. It used to, but that got removed. So there's nothing your opponent can really do about this card other than just um, wait it out, attack your cards, and you can just sit on it. It's just really good. I could see it even going up, or maybe not going up, but seeing Gabriel go down in comparison to this. This is just way better in most ways. Not to say that Gabriel's bad, but yeah. Then we got Redeemed Angel Zachariah. That card's also pretty good. It's not terrible. It's not amazing or anything, but 1 second, let me get to that guy. So Redeemed Angel, this card recently got somewhat of a buff. It's less specific now. You can send any 2 cards from your deck or hand to asset pile now. And it's just a more versatile version of Zachariah. Unfortunately, his conditions are kind of specific in that they need Zachariah specifically to be dead. That's not like the worst thing in the world. But he does give you more pressure and health points when you do it. So I would just say he's a little bit better than normal Zachariah in the sense that he both sends things faster and gives you more reason to do so. So B tier, mostly just because it's an asset slot, and asset slots need to give you more worth than your basic monsters. He may be a lot better than Forgotten Angel, but in comparison to the average asset monster, he's not as good. That's why he goes in B. Alright, next we got Dragon Conqueror Archangel. This is another B tier. This is the deck's like big boss monster. The reason why he doesn't go anywhere higher than this, despite having this crazy effect that, oh, he board wipes all dragon types, and oh wow, he gets like a bajillion attacks. You'll see in MonTac that that's actually not that good. Having like 20 attacks, that's pretty easy to stop because there's so many ways to interact in conflicts. You can outpower this guy. You can't turn end him. He has a specific effect that stops that. But what you can do is you can just use something like Savage Shield and stop the conflict. And you can't attack the same monster twice, so he's not going to be able to attack over that. So this guy he's fine. He's not bad, but he does have a decently specific condition for a boss monster. You're required to run Destroyer Swords Dragon Conqueror, which is kind of completely unrelated. So that's a whole other package you have to run in addition to the angels. And then on top of that, he only has a timer of 1 unless you send 5 angel cards from your asset pile to the perish pile, which you're going to maybe want to save for your Beowulf instead, your Beowulf synergy. So that's why I've put him in B tier. The value he gets you is decent. He has a decent stat line. He's not like the worst stat line ever. I could see him going down to C tier potentially, but having that many attacks is not a bad thing. It's just he's super easy to stop. But he is a threat. I'm not gonna deny that. So yeah, he does go in B tier. Next card we got is another S tier. It's Azrael's Chosen Angel Beowulf. So this is by far one of the most powerful angel cards, if not the most powerful angel card, I would say. The main thing about this is that I think Beowulf, it makes up the main win con of angels. It's that he can outlast a lot of decks because he can just constantly recycle cards from your asset pile in order to bring himself back. And on top of that, he has a really good stat line. He has 7,300 power. It says 3,300 on the card, but his effect gives him 4,000. And he's really hard to deal with because specialty removing him doesn't do anything to him. I mean, it does. It stops him from having as much power, but when he dies, he gets a specialty back and recycles everything, and he just comes back. So counteracting this guy is a lot harder than the average boss monster. So because of that, he can just come back and come back and come back with 7,300 power and 2 attacks and just apply constant pressure. On top of that, the cards he can send might activate. If you want to be cheeky, you can like run a utility chimera or specialty debt. There's fun things you can do with Beowulf. He's very fun to use. He's very annoying to face, but he's definitely an S tier and definitely the best card in Angels. The next card after that is Chosen Angel's Disciple Troy. So this card recently got a nerf. by recently, probably a few months ago, I don't remember when, he used to be able to search you 2 cards after he did his effect. Now he only draws you 3. And I say only. Drawing 3 is pretty crazy. But this card is really good. It's an A tier. It's not an S tier like it used to be. But it's a really good consistency tool for angels. It sends your Divine Swords, Divine Shields, or your Alfreds straight to your asset pile with no real effort to it. You just use Troy, send those stuff, draw 3 cards, and continue. Just really good value, really good early game play. Not much to say about him other than that. After that, we got Gabriel's Chosen Angel, Elizabeth. So we're putting Gabriel's Chosen Angel, Elizabeth, in B tier for now. I could see her also being lower, but I don't think she deserves so much lower. She's probably the worst angel asset monster, unfortunately. The main reason why is because she covers a lot of roles that are already filled by other angel cards, while also being the hardest condition maybe to fill for them. Elizabeth isn't really a card you need for angels, and Divine Shield Gabriel isn't a card that you have to run. I mean, you can run. It's really good to run, but not every deck needs to run it. So she doesn't really see play, and her effect doesn't really help them so much. But yeah, I mean, the effect isn't bad. It's just covered by other things. So she prevents angel monsters from perishing the turn she's played, and then when she perishes, she gives everything, all the angel monsters, 1,500 power. She's alright, but I don't see a reason to run her. But if you had her, I wouldn't be saying like, wow, you're throwing or something, you know what I mean? After that, we got Valiant Angel Ben. So Valiant Angel Ben, I'm putting this guy in A tier. So he's not terrible. He's not bad actually. He's like really good. I don't know why I said he's not terrible. He's really good. He has a really easy condition, and then on top of that, if you have 7 or more cards in your asset pile, you can play a angel basic monster from your perish pile. And while there aren't so many targets to choose from there that are like really, really good, because like Forgotten Angel, he doesn't do a whole lot for you anymore at that point. You could play something like Elizabeth if you really need the health, but really what you use Ben for is to play Angel Paravian, which we'll get to in a little bit. But Angel Paravian can get you a ton of power, in combination with Valiant Angel Ben. So that just combos really well. It gives you a really easy play this guy, get a board state of like 6,000 power guys. And if you kill that Angel Paravian, you can just play it back next turn with Ben. He lasts for 3 turns, so that's pretty nice. Other than that, there's not much for me to say about him, other than he has this secondary effect that he can also count as an angel. You can play synergy angel monsters with only half their condition fulfilled, as long as he's in the perish pile, once per the copy, and that's obviously supposed to be used for the Dragon Conqueror Archangel. And so that if he fills that role pretty nicely and making that a little bit more doable. I don't think it makes the deck or makes the Dragon Conqueror Archangel a lot better, but it does make it not terrible. So yeah, that's where Ben stands. Give me 1 second. I need to take a breathing break here because I've been speaking very fast. All right. I forgot to mention, or I didn't forget to mention, but the next card that I think I did out of order, that's fine, is Angel Ascendance. So Angel Ascendance, I'm putting this card in A tier as well. This is kind of a very similar card to Kid Angel Zachariah. It can set up your asset pile pretty decently and lets you play any angel monster from your deck regardless of class. It brings it to your hand first, but yeah, then you can play it regardless of class. So that's pretty good. It's not anything too special, but you can play it turn 1 just fine. So I don't have any issues with it being an A tier. It might be, I don't know if it's better or worse than Kid Angel. The main thing Kid Angel has over it is that it's a body, but the main thing that Angel Ascendance has over it is that it's not a body in the sense that you don't need a free monster slot to play it. So, think what you will, I guess, about that. Alright, next we're going to the guy we've been talking about this whole time, which is Angel Paravian. So Angel Paravian's an A tier card. I know I've been talking him up this whole time, but he's really good. He's not impossible to counterplay though. What he does is he gives each Angel and Paravian monster you command 200 power per card in your asset pile. So if you have, let's say, 10 cards in your asset pile, that's 2,000 power for everything, which is pretty crazy. But the only time that it works is if you have less cards in your hand than your enemy. So what it kind of encourages players to do is be more wasteful with their cards in order to either get him online for the player that controls it, or for the player that doesn't control it to get it offline. So he can also encourage your opponent to be wasteful, which is a nice bonus to him. And yeah, as I said, you can revive it with Ben for a lot of value, and it can be quite a pain in a lot of cases. But he's not going to win you the game on the spot or anything. He's not like Beowulf where he's your win con. So I'm putting him in A tier. After that, we got Viral Lazarus. So Viral Lazarus, really good card as well. I'm going to be honest, I don't know very much about this card because I see people run it, but I don't understand why. So the reason why I'm putting it as an A tier is mostly because I've heard it's been good, but I'm going to be honest, I don't really know much about this card. So if other people would like to let me know, you can let me know. But from what I can understand, this is kind of similar to cards like, I think it was like, there was one mutated card that gives power to all your monsters when you lose a health point. So this kind of also synergizes in a similar way. If this guy wins a conflict, both players lose a health point, and then he activates, gives all of your monsters a bit more power. He's not anything special, I don't think, personally, but he is a turn 1 play, which makes him a lot nicer. I can see him going down to B tier because of that. I think I will put him down in B tier just because I don't really understand it so much. I think he's decent. I don't know if he's A tier worthy. And then we got our last Angel card, which is Upstart Angel Alfred. This is also an A tier card. This card's really good. One of probably the second best Angel asset, I would say. The main thing about Alfred is that he's just a really annoying early game pain. It's really hard to deal with early game, because early game you don't usually have very many cards that you can play that have a really high power stat. But Alfred does very easily get to, like, let's say like 6,000 power or something like that. I don't remember like what I usually see too well, but something like that sounds about right. But Alfred usually is able to be shielded from removal directly, gains a lot of power, as well as being immune to stuff like Hammer Down. So the easiest way to shut down Alfred would be specialty removal. But of course, there's ways to counteract that. So this card is good, but it's not. It's an early game. Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. This card is really good because it just gives you board presence really easily, really fast early game. I've never used it personally, just because it came out after I've really enjoyed using Angels. I might try him out later. But yeah, this guy is really strong, especially because he can combo with Alfred, getting him to 16 plus, not even in a difficult way. So yeah, he goes in A tier. So that was all the Angel cards. After that, we got Apocalypse. The Apocalypse. There's not as many of these guys, and there's not a whole lot to say about them compared to Angels. They haven't really seen meta presence compared to angels. But yeah, let's go ahead and start with the Apocalypse monsters. So the first Apocalypse monster we got is Delvey. This is the most recent card, I believe. Or maybe second most. I know they added Parabian as well. But yeah. This guy can send a class 5 or higher dragon type monster from anywhere to the Perish pile, and then he gives you health points and lets you play any Apocalypse monster from your Perish pile. So being able to revive any Apocalypse monster by sending any dragon is pretty strong, especially when you consider that includes stuff like Davinko, Apocalypse Parabian, and Aethelred. Now, those three guys, not all of them are like the most crazy thing ever. That's the only issue. The things that it can revive require some assistance to really be any good. But the fact you can revive an asset monster to begin with for free, pretty much, sending a class 5 or higher dragon type monster is really easy, so that's not even really that big a cost. The fact you can revive them is pretty nice. The next card we have is Volcane. So Volcane, this card is alright. He's solid. He can impose, which means opponent can sack 1 health points to not let you play it, or let you play it regardless of class. The main thing is, if you play it, you can sacrifice 2 health points. It gains another 1,500 power. So it'll be a 3,000 body. That's about all he does. Sacrificing 2 health points for that is not that bad, as long as you have a bit of a health engine. But the main problem with him is just he doesn't do anything active. He's at class 5. But being able to impose does give you some mind game opportunities, I guess. But that's about it. He doesn't do a whole lot. So I'm putting him in B tier just because 3,000 body is good. It's not terrible. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But he's not like going to do a whole lot for you, probably. Other than be a big beat stick, which is not a hard role to fulfill. You know, you can do that with just about any random monster. Then we got Pharaohrex. So Pharaohrex, this guy's alright as well. But I'm putting him in C tier, unfortunately. He's not... The main problem with him is just his effect is very specific, making him really hard to use. So you need to have less health points than your opponent. So you need to make sure that you're not gaining too much health, even though you're playing a health sack deck. You know what I mean? That's kind of weird. But at the same time, you need to sacrifice 2 health points in order to use it. So if your opponent is at like 3 health points, you're unable to even use this card without just dying. And then on top of that, the card that it can send, it has to be either a constant card or a basic monster. It can't send synergy monsters for some reason. And on top of that, it's a class 6. Yes, you can impose it, so that's not terrible, but it's just really specific, and you can fill this role in so many other ways that don't cost you so much and aren't so specific. So I'm putting him in C just because of that. Removal is not bad, but it's not that valuable compared to some other roles you might want to see. Especially when this guy is just heavily outclassed. So those are the basic monsters. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the synergy monsters. So next we got Aethelred. So Aethelred, you can sacrifice up to 5 health points, and then he gains a bunch of power and attacks for each health point that you lose this way. So I'm going to put Aethelred in B tier. It's kind of a similar situation to Dragon Conqueror for me. Its cost is just crazy. Sacrificing 5 health points is really big. Now, for those of you that aren't so familiar with the game's meta, health points don't matter so much for the health part. It's more like a resource. You're spending them like you would money. And so spending 5, as long as you have a health engine, that's alright. But it's pretty easy to counter. All you have to do is specialty remove it, or just remove it with removal. And sacrificing 5 health points for something that can just so easily be countered kind of sucks, especially when he only lasts 2 turns unless you sacrifice unless you sacrificed 5 health points exactly. So he's not the greatest. He is immune to being bounced, but that's about it, I guess. You can revive him. The thing is, he won't keep his power and extra attacks. If you revive him, you have to sacrifice again, which sucks. So he's not the greatest. That's why I'm putting him B. He is a genuine threat. It's just he's too expensive and too easy to shut down to be any better than B tier for me. I could see him go down further, you know. Again, open for suggestions here. After that, we got Apocalypse Paravian. So, Apocalypse Paravian, this guy goes into, I would say, C tier maybe for now. I could see him potentially going up, but I think C tier is fine for him. So, the reason why I have him in C tier is because this card is pretty underwhelming overall. It doesn't really help the Apocalypse deck very much. What it does do, it gives your opponent health points, which might sound terrible. It's not that bad for Apocalypse, since it gives you a bigger gap between your health points and your opponent's. And then when either player's health point total changes while this card's in play, you may have Apocalypse or Paravian monster you command gain 1,000 power until it leaves play. So basically, once per turn, it can kind of, during your turn, it can give a 1,000 boost twice. But it requires you to activate ways to give your opponent health or reduce their health or gain health or lose health yourself. And that's like fine. But he takes up an asset slot, and using an asset slot for this, I don't know if it's worth it. I could see it going up if someone proves me wrong, but I don't know if this is really worth keeping because it seems really easy to just shut down. And this would be a lot better on a basic monster. But using an asset slot for this is a little annoying when you could use something else. Then again, you can revive it, but I don't know. I could see it going up, but I'm going to leave it in C for now. And then we have our last card, which is Apocalypse Dragon Leader Davinko. So, call me crazy, but I'm going to put this guy in A tier. And the main reason for that is just because his effect, it's not necessarily really good on its own, in the sense that in Apocalypse, it's kind of hard to get this guy online. But if you're able to use this guy effectively in a gimmicky deck with a bunch of dragons, I could see this guy popping off like crazy. I thought of a synergy with him with Mechanic Turmoil. You turn this guy into a tactical, then you just use burn of some sort, run Maki if you want. If your opponent tries to pop Davinko procs, and you get to revive a dragon for free. If you Maki them, they just proc Davinko, you get to play your Biomech dragon from your Parish pile, you know what I mean? It's pretty crazy. So I don't think this guy's terrible. The main thing is that he just has not a hefty condition. It's not a hard condition, but it's a decent condition. It takes a little bit of effort to get online, so you're not going to be able to just play this guy out really easily for the combo. You would need to build up a bit before you can use this guy. But otherwise, this guy's really neat. Alright, I put him in A tier. I could see him going down to B. But I do see a reason for him to be in A if he can revive stuff so easily like that. Alright, so that was the Apocalypse archetype. Next, we're going to move on to my archetype, the one that I designed, the Axominous archetype. So, I got some hot takes on this archetype. I'm not a huge fan of where they're at right now. I think they could be really cool if they had a few changes. But as they stand right now, I don't think they're that great, unfortunately. They're pretty small as well. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and start with the newest addition to the cast, which is Shine Axominous. I'm putting this card in B tier. So this is a turn 1 setup card. Pretty nice. You add an Axominous card from your deck to your hand. And then you're able to play a card regardless of class if you send this card to your asset pile, which is fine. You're usually going to be using this in combination with Enlightened Axominous. Use Enlightened Axominous, search this guy searches for more cards, and then you just continue your combos. He's fine. Like, there's not much I can say really about him. Other than that, he doesn't do very much for you past turn 1 because Axominous aren't particularly hard to play. And he just takes up a whole, takes up a slot on your board, so it kind of is annoying. Yes, you can bounce him back into your asset pile, but there's not really a whole lot of reason to do that other than buffing your Enlightened, I guess. So he's just there, you know what I mean? He doesn't help you that much. That's the main issue with him. The second card in the archetype is Tropical Axominous. I'm putting this guy in, yeah, I think I'll put him in C tier. So, biggest issue with this guy is just that there's not really any reason to use him. You can send cards to your asset pile, but for what reason? He searches you an Axominous, that's fine, I guess, but you can send these cards. The only reason you would ever do that is specifically either to fuel your blazing, I guess. That's not too hard to do otherwise anyways, like you just bounce things you play, or to make Cyborg easier to use. And in that case, with Cyborg easier to use, you'd have to play this card. It's just awkward. You have to play these Axominous cards that take up your space, and Cyborg can't buff himself, he has to buff something else. So then if you want to keep your Tropical with 1,500 extra power, you have to like bounce the Cyborg that you wanted to use more, you know what I mean? It's very awkward. So Tropical Axominous, he doesn't do very much for you, other than being an Axominous card to send things to the asset pile for. So yeah, he doesn't do you a whole lot, and because of that, I'm going to put him in C tier. Then we're talking about Cyborg. I'm putting Cyborg in B tier for now. Actually, I could see him being C tier as well. I think C tier is more appropriate, actually. We're putting Cyborg in C tier. So the main issue with this guy is just how weirdly specific he is. He, for whatever reason, he can't buff himself, which is his biggest issue, in my opinion. Because when you're playing Axominous, you have to bounce things constantly. So if you're playing Cyborg Axominous, if you want to get value out of him, you need to have you have to have him and another Axo, and constantly buff them. But in order to do that, you need to be constantly bouncing something back. And you're not going to have enough space to do that, especially while also being able to defend Cyborg. That's just a lot of effort for a very meh payoff, especially because his condition to use his effect is so specific. So I think it would be a lot better if he could buff himself. That would bump him up quite a bit. And yes, you can use Oasis on him to give him an extra 2,000 power, but it would be a lot better if you could buff him with both Axominous, Oasis, and himself, or something like that. Another thing is he has no way to proc himself. You have to use Oasis with him, which is a little annoying. Anyways, yeah, C tier I think is fitting. For the last of the main deck monsters, we got Blazing Axominous. So I'm putting Blazing in A tier. The main thing about Blazing is just this card can revive any Axominous monster, which just makes it really versatile in that way. It's kind of similar to Delvey, can revive any Axominous monster, so that's pretty nice. Can get you a pretty good, solid, hard to break board, potentially. And it gives you an actual reason to send cards to the asset pile, because cards you're sending, you send down to the Perish pile of Blazing, and you can also just revive the card you send if it's a monster. And it kind of powers them up slightly. So this card's pretty decent all around. I'm putting it in A, even though the targets it can send aren't the greatest. Then we have Enlightened Axominous. So this is the deck's main monster. It's Enlightened Axominous. I'm putting this card in B tier. So the main issue with Enlightened Axominous is also just a little awkward. You're able to use it turn 1. The intended play is play this turn 1. Then you play out your Axominous Oasis. and use that Oasis to power up your Enlightened Axominous bunch to where it's really hard to break. Enlightened can send a Axominous card, Axominous basic monster you command to your asset pile to defend itself, which is pretty good. But the main issue is your opponent usually will just attack over your other monsters, or you just won't have any Axominous monsters to use because, you know, you have sent them to your asset pile at this point for other cards. So this card would be a lot better if there were either more Axominous cards, or the Axominous cards that existed had more reason to be used with this guy. And then on top of that, you have to do a lot of setup for him to be super great. So he's alright. He's B tier for that reason. After that, we got Kingmaker Axominous. So this is the card's main big boss monster. It's not the scariest big boss monster, but it's respectable. So this guy is able to send stuff just like Oasis is, and he's also able to revive Axominous cards. So you're able to play Kingmaker. Kingmaker plays Blazing. Blazing plays your Enlightened, and there you go. You got a pretty decent, respectable board, which is not bad. And then on top of that, he can send stuff in order to remove basic monsters. So that's not terrible. So he's all right. I'm putting him as also in B tier. He's not bad, and I don't mind him. Lastly, we have Axominous Oasis. This is another card I'm putting in B tier. It's not bad. Again, it's just a little awkward, and because of that, it goes in B tier. It sends either Axominous cards or constant cards to your asset pile, and then you can have an Axominous gain 2,000 power. 2,000 power is pretty great. Sending stuff, not so much, so it goes in B. Alright, those are all three of the archetypes. So now all we have left to go through is all of these generic cards. So from here, we're going to go ahead and cover all these you see on the bottom here. So bear with me, it might take me a little bit to find each card because they're not as neatly organized in the deck builder. But yeah, first of all, we got Adverse Seal. So Adverse Seal is a really interesting card that I feel like got a really, really strong indirect buff. So for those of you that don't know, the MonTac resource system changed to where it's no longer reliant on the die roll, but instead it goes up by 1 every turn and maxes out at 6. And because of that, Adverse Seal is playable from turn 4 onwards with no restriction compared to where it was before, which makes it really, really consistent and really, really good, this is why I'm putting it in A tier. So Adverse Seal's main benefit is that it can completely force your opponent to sacrifice 4 health points or just not be able to play their big boss monsters. So if they have something they really need to have perish for conditions, you can Adverse Seal it. They have to sacrifice 4 health points, otherwise they're not going to be able to play their big boss monster. Or this can also just completely destroy all tokens. Can completely destroy all the duplicate cards. It can completely destroy any card that like has like a ton of power that it's gained. You just Adverse Seal it and it loses all that power and goes back to ground zero. So this is just really good removal. And then on top of that, you can pop it as well. This does take your cards with it, and it does require a synergy monster. But if you wait until your opponent has played a board, you can use Adverse Seal, and then they're forced to kill their cards anyways, and you get your cards back. And so it's just really versatile, really good. And it also refreshes the timer on the monster on monsters that have timers. So if you want, you can use this on a monster that's about to die from your synergies that you were gonna have die anyways, and just get it back by paying 4 health points. And it reprocs any on-play effects, which is really nice as well. So there's a lot of versatility in this card. Like it can go pretty crazy. Alright, card after that we got is Afflicted Avenger. I'm putting Afflicted Avenger in B. This card, the main drawback to this guy is that he needs other cards to be any good. You need to be able to boost this guy pretty high for him to do much of anything. However, if you do that, he's not that bad. But if you invest into this guy, you can expect that your opponent's going to have an out of some sort, very likely, which is the main drawback that I see with this guy. Like, you can see his benefit being, oh, you can't kill him except for conflict. His power can't be lowered. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Until your opponent plays like, I don't know, like Adversarial, and then all of that goes away. And then another thing is that you can just attack over it just fine. It's not that difficult to do. But if you do get this guy online, he's not not the most scary thing ever, but he can be scary. So he has some merit to him, but unlike other cards, you need to really invest into him to have really anything happen, which is why I'm putting him in B tier. After that, we got Aftermath. Putting Aftermath in B tier. Main reason for that, well, Aftermath can be detrimental. It's not necessarily detrimental, but it can be. So Aftermath mills both players one time every time a monster perishes, and since this is MonTac with the 2 per turn rule, this can only happen up to 2 times per turn. So there are ways to manipulate this with stuff like top deck or future state, where you can have the top card of your deck be something like a utility chimera or like a Obsidian Hawk, and you don't get the drawback. That's not terrible, not bad. But milling, it's good, but I wouldn't say it's like an A tier worthy card. There's better ways to mill that don't require you to stand on edge or manipulate your deck to be in a good spot, basically. So I'm putting Aftermath in B. Solid card. I think there are better options. Alley Bruiser. So Alley Bruiser, this guy's pretty good, pretty generic. Good Savage type generic card. Revives any Savage type basic monster, no problem, easy peasy. I don't have very much to say about him. He can revive really good cards, and there's a lot of good generic Savage types. Nothing really comes to mind at the moment, but I'm sure you could think of something. So yeah, that's where he goes, A tier, for being a good revival tool. After that, we got Angler Feisty. Angler Feisty, I'm putting in B tier. Weird thing about Angler Feisty is he's super similar to another card in this game called Lunar Devotee. But the main thing about Angler Feisty is that you can sacrifice a monster and then lower an opponent monster's power by that monster's original power. So the only difference between this guy and Lunar Devotee is he's a lower class and lower power, and then he only reduces by original power. So if you wanted to use this with crime partners or something, unfortunately you won't be able to get any benefit out of that. But he's fine. He's not bad, but you need to be able to have a specific deck type in order to make use of him, because of course sacrificing a monster isn't always going to work in every single deck. And the benefit of lowering enemy monster power is not the greatest when you can also just remove a card instead. So B, I could see him going down to C, honestly. I think I'll put him in C because of that. He uses original power, which is my main gripe with him. He's not very abusable against big monsters, you know what I mean? But I could see him changing back to B tier if you guys would like. Anyways, Arknight Avenges Sir Arathor. If I can find him real quick. Yeah, this guy. He's pretty good. A tier. Good revival, good body, easy condition, solid all around. A tier. I don't think there's very much to say about him. I'm sure every single player has seen this card at some point, so yeah, I don't have much to say about him. Next card we have is Assimilation. Okay, this one's interesting. This is the first set 10 card I think we've seen. So this is a weird card. Basically, it can kill 10 tokens and then merge them together to make a new token with all of their power combined. And so you can either use this as a token player in order to make a really big token monster, or you can use this as token countering in order to kill 10 tokens at a time. I don't know how strong this really is, to be honest. You can use it with like a top threat copy if you want, which is neat, but it's not that great. I don't know. It's like a silver bullet. It's not like the greatest silver bullet ever. You could probably run Adverseal instead and be better off. So I would probably say this is like a C tier or a B tier. Honestly, I would say C tier. I'm going to put Assimilation in C tier. It's not terrible. Like, I don't think it's a bad card. It's just really ultra specific, and the benefit of it is not that great. You know what I mean? So after that, we got... So bandits we're going to do next time, not this time. I'm going straight to the next generic, which is Batera Ruler. Where are you, Batera Ruler? Okay, this card sucks. I'm sorry, this card sucks. This card is not very good. For one, it requires a very specific condition of False Ruler and a Bat or Chiroptera have perished. Those cards on their own, they're not bad. Issue is that you just need a very specific condition. So if you want to run this, you need to have both of those cards being dead. But on top of that, this card's power is not very good. Has a timer of 3, which is fine, I guess. And it says when you draw 2 more cards while this card's in play, it gains a Batera counter. And then if you have enough of those, you gain the following effects. It gains 2,000 power. So in order to get it to a decent power level, you need to have already drawn 2 cards. 4,300 is not the greatest for how specific it is. Secondly, timer remove, that's not the greatest, since it's going to die probably pretty quickly, considering its power is only 4,300. And then its third effect is this card can attack 10 times. Now, that's not terrible, but the issue is it needs to have already been in play at least 2 turns in order for that to happen because of the 2 per turn rule. And secondly, 10 times of attacks, you have to draw 2 times, or you have to draw 3 times, which is a lot of effort for a mediocre effect, because attacking 10 times sounds like a lot, but really it's no different than being able to attack 3 times for most situations, because your opponent can just block it, and then your Batera Ruler will die eventually. You know what I mean? So this card, I'm sorry to say, has to go into D tier because its effect is very situational. Its benefit is pretty meh. Its condition is really bad. And on top of that, I don't see a reason to run this over something like, I don't know, Biomech Dragon. Biomech Dragon, sure, it has a hard condition, but it's going to give you way more value than this guy, and it's a generic, So yeah, this guy goes into D tier. I'm sorry, Batera Ruler. Despite you being a cool card, that doesn't make you a good card. I'm sorry. Black King Prometheus. This card is, in my opinion, a B tier card at best. So what makes Black King Prometheus a B tier card is just because his specialty does nothing, like almost ever. It might sound really good, like, oh, if you're in a conflict with a monster whose original power is higher than this card's, you get to be a 6,000 monster. Whoa, that's crazy. No, it's not really, because Black King Prometheus almost never is in a situation where the card it's facing has an original power of 3,000 or higher, but lower than 6,000, to where it's able to win that conflict. Like, this effect almost never does anything, unfortunately, because when it is in a conflict with a card that has, let's say, 4,000 power or something, your opponent can also just hammer down your Black King, if you want. Like, even if it does a proc, it's not even that good, because your opponent has so many ways to counteract it. Now, I guess you could say, well, he has the support cards, but those cards have issues as well, unfortunately. First one being Rebellion Breaker. This card is decent. So the main thing about this is that it stops any tacticals from being used when Black King is involved in a conflict. So that sounds really, really good. Issue is, most red tacticals you can play before the conflict starts, and you'll have about the same effect. Play the hammer down before your Black King attacks, and use the blanket effect. Well, I guess you don't get your benefit anymore. And on top of that, Rebellion Breaker only lasts until Black King perishes, and that's an issue because you'll see why. Um, this card doesn't really help you a lot when your opponent can just play stuff right after or right before. If they need to turn end you, they'll just do it on a card that's attacking that's not Prometheus, you know? So there's not a whole lot of reason to use this. Same thing with Black King Prometheus, you know. Even to get use out of this, you need to have multiple attacks, really. So B tier might even be generous, honestly. But I think the reason why he goes in B tier is because of Black King's Rebirth. So Black King's Rebirth lets you replay the Black King monster right after it dies, like the turn afterwards. You have to do it that turn, which is a little annoying because it can be awkward at times. But it's not. It lets you get a 3,000 power monster that's harder to deal with than most, I guess. But the Rebellion Breaker doesn't stay around, unfortunately, for the Rebirth version. But other than that, it's like fine. And on top of that, both of these guys can both of the red tentacles can be shuffled back in, and you get to send them with your Prometheus for his condition. And one thing that Black King has going for it is that it's a turn one play that you can do pretty consistently to apply decent pressure. But other than that, there's not a whole lot that I can say about it that's like, wow, this guy is crazy. So that's why he goes in B tier. Next card is Blessed Griffin. So this card, pretty solid, honestly. He doesn't see a whole lot of play, mostly because Angels already have a very tight deck list. So there's not a whole lot of space, I don't think, for random cards like this. But I don't think it would be a bad inclusion. This is just a really good beat stick. There's not much else I can say about it other than that. It's a class 6, which is a little annoying. It can be a bit bricky. But I can see this guy being like B tier. B tier, maybe A tier. If someone proves me wrong there, I'd be fine with that. Yeah. Blessed Griffin is fine. The main thing about it is that... Well, actually, no. I think he can go in A tier. Main reason is because he's a divine type. So you can pretty reliably defend it with all your divine monsters. Or divine tentacles, I mean. Then let's go on and scroll and scroll. Oh, I skipped one. Okay. Bold Peacock. This is a pretty new card. So what this card does is it gains 1,000 power when it initiates a conflict with an enemy monster, and it gains 1,000 power for each constant card you command, or sorry, in play until the end of the current turn. I'm gonna say this card is probably like C tier. Main reason, it's not terrible. Like I can see you using this, and it's a decent bulky body, like to attack with. But when you attack it, it's pretty vulnerable because this card isn't initiating the attack in that sense, so it would just die unless you protect it. And it's not that good. Like getting 4,000 power or something, like that's good, but there are better ways to do that. This card is just a little too flimsy, so he goes in C tier. Next we have Boss Destroyer Photon Space Cannon. This is the first tacticalism of the list. We're putting it in A tier. So this card is not bad. It's not super good, but it's not great, not hard to use. Man, sorry, I've been talking for too long and now my brain is fried. So this card is pretty good. The main reason why I would put it in A tier is because it's removal. It's one of the best tacticalisms in the game, probably, if I had to guess. Mostly because of the way that the game's changed since I last did this tier list. It's become a lot better in comparison to stuff like Dragon War Gear, in the sense that Dragon War Gear is a lot less valuable than it used to be. So what makes Photon Space Cannon really special is that it can extinct the monster that it wants to remove. It has a specific condition. It needs to have over double the power of any of the monsters you control, or it has to have double the power at least. And that's a little annoying to use, but because Tacticalisms now can be used on any synergy with no restrictions, that's pretty not terrible. It's a little wonky sometimes, but you can not super unreliably get use out of it. And then secondly, because it extincts the monster, it can counter things like Beowulf, uh, not not in a very difficult way. So if you want, you can run this thing and be fine. Um, it's an A tier. All right, Bountiful Basket. This card goes in A tier. There's not a whole lot to say about it other than it's a really good consistency tool. Keep you alive with health, or it can keep you drawing cards. Just make sure you use this um, when you're not going to like redraw cards anyways, like any draw card, I guess. But you want to make sure you get the full value out of this, so you're not using this as like the last card of your hand on turn 2 after you played your whole hand or something. Make sure you use this when you weren't going to refill anyway. Brutal Takedown. Okay, now we got another set 10 card. This is a card that I would probably put into C tier, maybe. I would think C tier is maybe fitting for this. I could see it maybe going in B tier. Yeah, I think it can go in B tier. We'll say B tier. So the main thing about Brutal Takedown is that it's can play things regards to class, although it's a class 3, so at that point it's a little not so beneficiary anymore. At like class 1, it's like crazy good at regards to class. Class 2 is pretty good. Class 3 is starting to get a little not worth it at that point. So I wouldn't say that's a really good benefit to it. The main benefit is that it can also remove something on top of that, but the removal it does is pretty limited to what you have in your hand at that point, and because of that, I put it in B tier. It's not bad, but it's just a little janky, I would think, so that's why I'm putting it in B tier for now. And last but not least, we got Buzz Buzz. This is our last card for today. Another set 10 card. This guy is fine. He's a B tier card. And the reasoning for putting him in B tier is just, you play him, he dies, you can play him again. You can get 2 bodies out of 1 guy. Not very much to say about it other than it's not terrible, not bad. You can make use of it in like a critter deck if you want. Alright, well, this is what the tier list is looking like so far. Sorry if I'm speaking really fast throughout this whole video. I just don't want this to be longer than like an hour. So hopefully you enjoyed hearing my thoughts. I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments or on Discord if you want. Next time we're going to be covering bandits, bicorns, I think, and bladeborns. So yeah, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.